Okay, thank you, Minister, and I want to thank the other senators for their contribution. Look, Minister, I hear what you're saying, and you know the easy option is to say no and just, Minister, don't accept it and have a vote. That's all politics, and we have enough of that going on here. Let's use this House in a constructive way. I suppose the key words you're saying, it preempts further legislation. In relation to the regulator, it mightn't be appropriate to what you've said, but that's a matter that you haven't even teased out in any great detail, and I respect that. You talked about this being transitional as part of a bigger change or a series of changes that you'd like to see, and a first step in the reform process is what you've said as well. But, Minister, I have to be clear about something. We need to speed up. You know, we shouldn't be doubting your commitment, and things move slowly, but this is a critical issue. The amount of coverage this particular bill has got in terms of inshore and various marine publications is enormous. It's quite interesting to look at the provincial newspapers who are covering this particular issue. There's a huge concern. We have coastal communities right around this country who are stakeholders who are concerned. And I want to echo what both Senator Buttimer and Julie said in relation to the name escapes me, Michael Kingston, sorry. And he was a very brave man. And he put his money where his mouth was, and his expertise, and he took his case and was successful. And we have to learn from that. You know, we have to learn from it. You, more than anyone, Minister, in your party would be aware of being brave and courageous and challenging the establishment and the status quo and a load of environmental issues. And it is a lonely road, and it's an expensive one, and you're very much left out on your own. And I want to acknowledge that from some of your key activists who've pursued other similar types of advocacy issues because they believed in them. So let's not forget the guys outside who are trying to do their best. Let's not always overanalyse their motives. They're not necessarily all against the establishment. They want a better system. So I've taken on board what you said, Minister, but it is all happening too slowly. That's the problem. And I mean, so we'll be able to look back at this in 12 months. But I want to say again that, as I say, the importance here is that we have a structure that is professional, that is appropriate in terms of marine casualty investigation, and I think that's the important message I want to get out of here today. So therefore, Minister, having reflected on what you have said, and I don't have a script of it, so I'll read it in the record later on, but I hear what you're saying, and you've indicated this is part of a process that will be rolled out. I want to say that I'm happy, I'm not necessarily happy, but I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to bring it to the House again. And for you, I want to acknowledge your time. You're a busy man, and Minister, to come here and tease it out with us. I'll withdraw this amendment, but I will say I'm going to be keeping a keen eye on it. And I'm going to be stirring it up a bit, to be honest, if we don't see progress in the next 12 months, because I don't think we should be waiting for the next 12 months. We should see this as a really, really important issue. And I want to send out a very clear message to the coastal communities that I've raised this issue. I'm never shy and short in terms of public relations and advocating and telling the world what I do in here. We should all be doing it. That's what makes politicians stand out. I certainly will be engaging with the maritime publications and community within the next few hours, telling them where we are, sending them a link of this meeting. All we can do is ask. All we can do is bring it to the central table. So I would ask you to keep an eye on it. And why I have you here, Minister, and I'll finish on this, you know, I'd like to think one day in the life of this government, of which you are only a member in the three-party coalition, that one day a minister will walk in here and will look across the opposition. It's quite a small little setup over this side. The vast majority in both houses. You know what it is to be a small party in a parliamentary chamber. But a minister will walk in here and stand up and say, actually, to a member of the opposition, you brought some really constructive ideas and suggestions to legislation, and I will not conditionally, I will 100% support them. And that hasn't been coming. And it is a mark of this government, and I don't want to deviate too much here, but it is a mark of this government that it hasn't got the political maturity to come into the houses and acknowledge the work of members in opposition who have a critical role in parliamentary democracy and enhancing legislation, particularly this House, the upper house. So I want to thank your officials for their time. I want to thank you, Minister, for your time. I want to thank the few senators in this chamber today that engaged with it. But more importantly, I want to thank all of the senators in the committee, because that's where a lot of this work was done. That's where a lot of this debate was done, and I want to thank them. And let's go out of here with a renewed commitment to keep this issue on the political agenda. Thank you, Minister, for your time. And Cathaoirleach, I'm happy to withdraw the amendment on that basis.
You're proposing to withdraw the amendment by agreement with the House. Is that agreed?
Agreed.